Ashley Hindle recently joined Laravel, and he's been spearheading a lot of our AI-related development here at the company. And I'm going to bring him out on stage now to give you a preview of something that I think is going to give your Laravel app development a boost.
Howdy, everyone. Today, I'm very, very excited and proud to announce Laravel Boost, your AI coding starter kit.
Hello, everyone. I want to welcome everyone back. And today we have a special guest. He's coming back again for the second time, Ashley Hindle, and we're going to talk about Laravel Boost, which is a new thing Laravel is launching. So welcome back to the show, Ashley.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be back with this more of the same, I guess. The last time was Croft, which was MCP. Boost is FCP too. So yeah.
Yeah, you've actually, on a personal level, you've had a whirlwind of things happening in the last few months.
Yeah.
Because let's see, what all is it? You got hired by Laravel. You've created Boost. You've were part of a keynote at your first Laracon US. So like you've just
Yeah.
been doing everything.
It's ridiculous, right? I don't know how a speed ran so many things, but very grateful for it.
It's awesome. I know you said that was your first Laracon US, but was that your first Laracon at all, or?
That was my first Laracon at all, yeah. And the only other Laravel conference I'd been to was Laravel Live UK in June, and that was incredible. And I spoke about MCP there. But yeah, my first Laracon, and I did it all. As an employee, I spoke on stage, I announced a new product. I don't need to go to another one now. No. I want to meet all of the people again that I met at US, so I'm hoping to go to Laracon EU is next, right? So hopefully go there.
Awesome. Yeah, that was just, as a conference goer, I was going to say you killed it on stage. Like I know
Thank
that has
you.
to be a little nerve-wracking standing up in front of thousands of people at your very first, Laracon talk. So that was you did a really
Yeah.
good job.
Thank you. It's a weird experience. And just before I went on stage, somebody texted me saying 1,100 people are also watching live on YouTube. I was like, oh, thank you. Yeah, helpful.
Yes, like that. Those are things I don't want to know about.
Yeah,
I want to pretend I'm talking to that one person out there.
exactly.
Uh, s- so so Laravel Boost is coming out, or it's out by the time this video is out on the world.
Yeah,
Um, can you give me like sort of like a high level pitch about like you know an elevator pitch? Like what is Laravel Boost and why do we need it?
absolutely. I'm saying that Laravel Boost is your AI coding starter kit. So it helps your AI agents, when you're AI pair programming, it helps them write higher quality code. That's the top level goal. That's its philosophy. So your AI pair programmer works better for you. Basically, we want to up level it from a junior AI pair programmer to a senior AI pair programmer. And we need it because AI sometimes sucks, right? Like, it's incredible, but it still writes terrible code sometimes. It still makes things up. It still tries to create random files and add random new packages. So Boost helps guide the AI to do better, basically.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's awesome. So sort of taking a step back, like what's sort of the origin story? Like, how did you come up with the idea for Boost, or like, was that something that was on your mind forever, and you're just like, this is what I really think we need, or is basically just how did it start?
Yeah, Boost is an interesting one. It started from Croft. So I left my job at remote.com in January, and I had a few months off trying to figure out what I wanted to do in my life. And in that time, I experimented a lot with AI and MCP and things like that. And I was using AI a lot with Laravel, right, to write new code. And I wanted an MCP server. And so I built one called Croft, and that had various tools in it to screenshot web pages and list your env variables, for example. And that was pretty good, and we were planning on doing more with it. But then Laravel was also experimenting at the same time. Peter Soom was contracting at Laravel and experimenting with MCP things. And Laravel wanted to do something with MCP and AI assistance. And so they were experimenting there. And my name came up because I was also doing the same thing. We were butting heads, trying to, do the same thing and help people. And so I joined Laravel and it was like, well, it makes sense to build something similar, but also 15 times better. Like there's so much more possibility now with Boost than there was with Croft. And so we're migrating people from Croft to Boost, and Boost is, 5 times better. And Croft originally came from, asking Cursor at the time to do something and it doing it poorly, or it not writing tests, or it writes random test scripts that do random things, and then they're littered throughout my code and I have to go clean them up. Like, it just behaves oddly. And so I thought there must be a better way, to shape the AI to do better. And so, it came from personal frustration, really.
It's awesome. Yeah, that was the sort of like I haven't used AI a whole lot, like Claude or any of
Yeah.
these things, and that's part of the reason because every time I do it, it like doesn't make sense. So it's like
Yeah.
I love that Laravel is embracing this, you're embracing this, and it's going to make the whole ecosystem better just by feeding these things. I guess those would be so the MCP is the server and then the agent. So I'm not exactly sure how that ties together. Can you kind of, for those brand new to all this, can you kind of
Mhm.
elaborate how the piece fits together there?
Yeah, so the AI agent is something like Cursor or Claude Code or PHP Storm's Junie, and they support being an MCP client. So they can speak MCP, the MCP protocol. Um, and then Boost provides an MCP server. And so now your AI agent can speak to Boost and ask it to do things or ask to get information. So Boost provides things within the MCP server that now the AI agent, Cursor or Junie, can call to, do extra things basically.
Gotcha, gotcha. So what about like, as you're building this, what were some of the like really, really hard challenges, or did you experience any while you were doing it?
Quite a few, some technical, but most of them, I don't know how to describe it, philosophical maybe. So most of the problems that I've encountered are philosophical of we want to help Laravel developers code better with their AI pair programming partner of choice, the AI agent, right? But we don't want to enforce our rules and our preferences. We have to be really agnostic because every project is so different, right? And so when we're writing these guidelines saying, asking the AI to behave in a certain way, there are certain words we can't use or certain preferences we can't accidentally inject. We need to be really agnostic and tell the AI instead to look at the existing code base and use this convention. So that's been really tricky. And one I posted recently was about declare strict types. I think everybody should use declare strict types. And I would like that to be a boost as the first guideline. But there are many, many, many projects that don't have that right. So that's not fair to include. So it's tricky getting that balance right of where should we step in and where should we step back. And also when you're writing these guidelines, the strength of your language determines how much the AI agent follows the rule and then how overridable it is. So if our guideline said, you must, in all circumstances, add declare strict types at the top of the file, or else I may die, then the AI agent will always follow that. And if you add your own guidelines after, you won't be able to override that and say, actually, I don't care about declare strict types because we were too strong with our wording, right? So we have to be really careful and mindful just of the strength of our words. We can't use capital must because then you won't be able to override that if you want to. So that's been tricky, just yeah, wording those in a way that's agnostic and overridable, but not so weak that the AI agent ignores it. And that's I'm finding almost impossible challenge. But that's been the main, I don't know, philosophical kind of AI challenge, I would say.
Right, right. It's almost for me, I mean, I always think of that like prompt engineering, as a field is actually something that's kind of hard to do because
Yeah,
every one of them so different in how they interpret what you're trying to ask and say.
absolutely. Yeah, it's very tricky.
So moving on, on the at Laracon, you demoed sort of the boost install, and one of the questions I had was, as it asks you, so if you're brand new to Boost, you do just a Boost install command, and then it asks you prompts,
Yeah.
and one of the prompts was the Laravel MCP server or the Herd MCP server.
Yeah.
What's the differences there? Like, why would you choose one or the other?
Yeah, well, you should probably install them both if you're offered the option. So the Boost MCP server has all of Boost's tools to help your AI coding go more smoothly, but Herd are releasing or have released the Herd MCP server that comes bundled within Herd and gives you tools to um, link sites or secure and unsecure sites or isolate sites, things like that from within your AI agent too, so you don't have to go to the Herd application itself. That only shows up if it's available for you. If you're on the correct Herd version and you have the MCP available, then we'll give you that option, but otherwise it won't be there. But I'm using
Ah,
both in my projects.
gotcha. So they're not competing; they're
No, no.
complementary,
Yeah,
basically.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I love that. Yes, and then I guess with Herd too, you'll be able to like, because I think Herd can like integrate with. Can it integrate with Cloud and Forge and
I
all that,
think
or
it
am I
integrates with
thinking?
Forge. I don't know if there's an MCP tool for that, but I believe it can integrate with Forge. And I know Marcel is working very hard on other useful things as well. So it's only going to get better over time, right?
Yeah, that's cool. And then sort of also in that install, it went through and asked you all about like what different IDEs you wanted to use or code
Yeah.
editors. Um, I have a list. It was Claude, Cursor, PHP Storm with Junie, and VS Code. Are you gonna? I guess it's built in a way that like when new ones come out, you can just add more to it pretty easily.
Yeah, it's super easy to extend to other IDEs. And once you run Boost install, we also give you the information you need to manually install it if you would like. So those questions in Boost install just means we will automatically register our MCP server for you within those IDEs so you don't have to go and do any manual mess. Because in some IDEs, it is a mess. Like it is actually tricky. It's a pain. And so that just means we'll automatically do it for you so you don't have to think about it. But yeah, we can easily extend it to new IDs and we give you the manual instructions. So if you use something that we haven't added support for, you can still use Boost and you just have to do the uh, MCP setup yourself, basically.
Gotcha, gotcha. And then, and I guess that's sort of the follow up with that. The very next question was like, what was it? What AI agent?
The AI,
So you pick your
yeah,
IDE and then you pick your agent,
yeah,
but normally they're together, right? Like if you're going to pick PHP Storm, you're probably going to pick Junie and things like that. But I guess there's certain circumstances where you might use something vice versa
yeah.
or outside the box.
I struggled with this. What is the best DX for this flow? I don't know. We're all just making it up as we go. Uh, a lot of this came from VS Code, really, and Claude Code having an extension. So I typically nowadays am coding with PHP Storm, but using Claude Code within PHP Storm. So my IDE is PHP Storm, but my AI agent is Claude Code. And so I'm in this weird hybrid world. And from what I see, other people are too. So I've separated them. And VS Code also, you can choose various different agents. So VS Code, you can add GitHub Copilot. That's the main one. But you can also add Klein or Rue. They're also AI agents that you can add into VS Code. And so they're separate right now because you can kind of cross-pollinate, I guess. Whether it will stay that way, who knows? We'll see what the feedback is, when people are using it in anger.
Yeah, well, that was because, coming from me, like, I've not really done much
Yeah.
with it, so I'm like, "Well, aren't they together?" But that makes perfect sense. Um, and then, like, have you used all of them, or, like, do you just like Claude, so you just kinda stick with that because that's, like, what you know the best, or are
No,
they all pretty similar?
they're are they all pretty similar? That's a good question. They're fairly similar. They're not
Alright.
exactly similar, but they do roughly the same things, roughly the same way when you use the same model. Um, I use all of them. I have all of them open right now, and some of them actually actively doing things for me. Um, I'm fairly obsessive about Boost at the minute. So I want the experience for people to be incredible. Like my goal is for it to be incredible. And I won't get that right first try, right? And it's going to take some iteration, but that's my goal. And so I use all of those IDEs and other IDEs because I want to know how Boost performs in them. If it's not good enough, we need to fix it. So yeah, I'm always switching and changing and testing in weird, weird ways. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that sort of brings up, like, what's the weirdest use case you've used for it so far to build code?
Oh, weirdest use case. Not sure. Probably I have the project that isn't released yet that I've been building called Boost Benchmarks. So when GPT-5 was released recently, they had this chart showing you that it has, I think it was 79.5% accuracy pass rate on a benchmark called SWE Bench. And that's a bunch of Python programming tasks and bugs. And when you use GPT-5, it has this pass rate, right? And then, Claude Sonnet 4 is also tested on that benchmark. And so you can see Claude versus GPT versus, another model because it has, I don't know, let's say 300 evaluations, 300 tasks that the model has to complete, basically. And then it checks the success rate using essentially unit tests, using evaluations. Did it do this successfully as we expected? So I want that for Boost. I'm building Boost benchmarks to show how well Boost works across different IDEs, across different models, in different circumstances for different types of jobs. But that's incredibly difficult. Nobody should be doing that. Like, it's very, very tricky. And so I've used Boost to build Boost benchmarks with Claude Code mostly to help me work through all of this weirdness of how best to do this. And this is a combination of Laravel and a combination of Bash and a combination of Docker, and it's got a front end and a back end. Like, it's so many weird things that should confuse the AI because I'm not being normal, but it is doing well so far. So that's probably the weirdest and the coolest thing that I'm doing, I would say.
That's awesome, yeah. Well, and too, that'll help you long term, like, right? Because 'Cause it'll make you be able to change and sort of
Oh yeah,
improve Boost over time
I'm
to
I'm
once you get
so
some data.
yeah, I'm so excited about that. So when we have these benchmarks, we can test Boost. Uh, how does, say, Claude Code complete the benchmarks without Boost, and how well does it do with Boost? And then we can compare those numbers directly. And with Boost is significantly better, I imagine. Um, but then we can compare that with GPT-5, and then we can compare that with a different model. And so we can recommend, if you're writing Laravel with Boost, we know for a fact that this model will serve you better. And that's exciting. And then when we release the next version, we can run our benchmarks with the new version, and then we can compare it with the old version and say, we got X better with bug fixes, but we got worse with documentation, say. I don't know why that would be, But yeah, that's really exciting to be able to see that progression and just continually improve it. Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Um, so next question is sort of like third-party integration. So like,
Yeah,
I know when you showed the installer, it had like 13 packages, maybe is the right word. But like one was pest, inertia, blah blah blah. But
yeah.
like, what about like a third-party Laravel package? Can they integrate somehow with Boost? So like, um, basically to help improve, all their documentation for
Yeah.
developers using it.
Not right now. The plan was that package developers would be able to easily provide guidelines for Boost to install. As I wrote a proof of concept, as I spoke to people at Laracon US and spoke to developers at Laravel, I realized all of the edge cases and all of the difficulty involved with that. And so I've not found a great way to solve that yet. We do want to enable that, and we will enable that, but we don't know what the best approach is yet. So it's coming, but it is tricky. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you get it wrong, then it's really hard to be like, well, everything we did in version 1 is wrong, so we're gonna go to version 2, and you just gotta rewrite everything. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
nobody likes that, so it's better to wait.
I think so. I think so. I think it's worth the wait.
Mhm. Another, like, super cool feature that you demoed was, and I'm trying to think of the right way to explain this, but as you were demoing it, you had an error, and you you had it search your logs and fix
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's just part of like your prompting, the way you did it, or is that just sort of it just magically happens when you say, "Hey, there's a bug, go fix it." It'll just do it.
Yeah, it just does it. We have Boost comes with tools and that the AI agent can use, and you have to write the descriptions of those tools really carefully so that the AI knows when to call them. So we have a couple of tools within Boost to read logs. One of them is just read the latest X log entries from Laravel.log, for example. Um, but the coolest one is called browser logs, and that will read X entries from your browser console and exceptions. So Boost registers a middleware and injects some JavaScript to stream all browser console logs and errors and info and exceptions back to Laravel into a browser.log file so you can read it if you like. But also now the AI agent has access to the browser errors as well. So you can just say, the browser broke, and it will know to read the browser logs and fix it for you. So you don't have to open the console and copy paste things. So I'm really, yeah, I'm way too excited about all of this, but I'm really excited about that too.
Does that use like the Chrome thing? Like it pops up a browser somehow behind the scenes and like does that, or how does it actually do a browser log?
Yeah, so we inject a small amount of JavaScript that overloads console.error and console.log and console.info. So it will still do what it's supposed to do, but it will also send an XHR request back to Laravel on a secret URL. So we'll just post the information back, basically saying they called console.error, and then it sends JSON back to Laravel. And then we also listen for all of the thrown exceptions and errors, and we send them back to Laravel, just post them to an endpoint, and then obviously, make sure they are still thrown and anything else that needs to listen to them can still listen to them. So it's not got in the way of any other error tracking in my testing. So it's I love that it's kind of just invisible. You just install Boost, and now your browser errors are streamed back to the browser.log. It's really cool.
Does that work with any browser, or is it sort of specific to, Chromium or anything like that? Or can
Any
you use Safari? Can you
browser.
use anything?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's output within the HTML of the page. So when you go to the page, that JavaScript is there. And however you visit it, the JavaScript is there and will work.
Mm, nice, nice. That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. Because in your demo, I know you only had like not a lot of time to kind of show everything,
Yeah.
but we've seen that and we're like, oh, that's amazing. Like that's going to be really nice to go and help debug stuff that you might not find or might not see. So that's super exciting. Um, um, so AI in general, like how are you gonna like what are you seeing like I don't know in your magic ball in the next 5 years? Is this gonna be like the way I'm thinking about it is like if you think back about like probably like 1970s, 1980s, everybody just used terminal and
Yeah.
no mouse, no anything. And then all of a sudden, GUI desktops came about and it's like not many people want to go back to the old way because it's so life changing for the and
Yeah.
easier for the new way. Is that sort of what you're thinking, or is it more you think it's going to be even better than something like that?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I wish I had taken the time to properly think about the whole ecosystem and things. Um, I know that AI isn't going away, right? MCP isn't going away. These are things that will take moving forward, and more will be expected for developers to use moving forward. Um, it is largely beneficial. There's no reason, in my mind, not to use AI. It's important to use AI here, though, as a pair programmer, as an assistant. It is not yet go and do everything for me, hands off, don't review. That's way too messy. So Boost is designed to help you with your AI pair programmer. We expect you to work with it as a pair, right? As you would on a video call with another developer, not to absolve yourself of all responsibility and just ask AI to do it. And I think my guess is, in my crystal ball, that this holds true for at least the next 5 years. I think AI will always be a pair programmer. I think it will enable us to achieve more. I think I expect some companies will expect more of developers because now you have AI, and so they magically think you should be 100 times more, productive somehow. And you can do more, I believe. But yeah, I don't know anything more than that. It's tricky.
All right, yeah. Well, and that sort of leads to a tricky thing because they expect you to be more productive, and maybe writing the code is more productive. But as a developer, writing the code was never really. I felt like that was never the bottleneck. The bottleneck is like figuring out the things that it should be doing before you actually write the code.
Yeah,
So
that's
that will be
a
an
great
interesting
point.
change.
Yeah,
uh,
writing the code, there's stats on this, right? But that's what, 20% of a developer's time or 25% of the developer's time. Much of it is actually review, or much of it is product planning or specifications. Yeah, so AI right now is helping us mainly with the code writing part to varying levels of success. But I also use it to help me design and plan how I'm going to write the code or how we will write the code together. Ask the AI, I want to achieve this. What are our options? And let's rank them, which would be best and which are most Laravel-esque, which are most idiomatic. Um, so, yeah, you're completely right. It's helping us with writing code, but that's only a fifth of a developer's job. Yeah, it's not super helpful in the other places yet.
Yeah, and to like I know this is sort of off topic from Boost, but you sort of touched on it there. It's as a like a pair programmer, somebody that you're talking to, it really does matter how good you word your questions and things like that.
Yeah,
That's what I've noticed a lot is like if I just ask like a one sentence thing and don't get really specific, then it's not very good. But if you can really like break down into like really specific things, it's pretty decent at like having a conversation with you about things.
that's what I found. And especially if you prime it with the correct context. So in the projects that I have Boost installed, that comes with the guidelines. And one of those is just telling the AI the context within which it's operating. So it will tell it, this is a Laravel project of this version, and we're using these technologies of these versions. So you don't have to repeat yourself. You can be a bit more vague about your questions because it's primed with, oh, well, we're operating within this context. So when they say context, they mean Laravel context, not something else. And when they say model, they mean Laravel Eloquent model, not Catwalk model, right? And so you prime it with this context. So you can then, I don't know, get a bit more sloppy with your language if you do the upfront work to prime it with that context, I guess.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, and that's sort of the whole beauty of this whole system, right? And so and thinking about the MCP again, is that sort of like email as far as like it's a protocol with RFCs and all that other stuff? So that should stay the same, pretty much as new AI agents come about. Just
Yeah.
basically, just everybody's taking the same setup, basically.
Yeah, so MCP is a specification. I don't think they do RFCs, but it's very well documented with on modelcontextprotocol.io, I think. And they have lots of docs about it, and I've read all of them way too much. But there are also, I think, 3 or 4 versions at this point, and they add different things and take away different things, especially new features. And so I do see the MCP as a protocol evolving and adding new features and things, but it is pretty stable for the main things that we need. So the main thing developers need is MCP tools so that the AI agent can perform an action through a tool. And that's been around since Model Context Protocol version 1, right? And so even if we get 10 new versions, that will still always work. So yeah, if a new IDE comes out that's incredible, MCP just continues working, which is really cool.
That's awesome. Yes, I'm excited. So for someone that is again brand new, starting with Boost right now today, what's your number one best tip for them to get their bearings and just dive right in?
Good question. I think start small, give it a try. And AI code is cheap. So feel free to throw it away. Like you can just experiment. Just treat every AI response, every AI edit as a proof of concept that is completely, you can just say undo or I don't like that. And that's perfectly fine. I like to use it for 2 things. I like to ask it, how could I improve this thing? Like I like to ask AI, review my code basically. Look at this class. I feel off about it in some way. Could you, tell me why I might feel weird about it? And then I'm not the best at writing tests, and so often I will say, can you write me a test for this class? And that's a great way to get started, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, should you, what, like, I guess as far as your recommendations, should you start on a brand new project or just sort of install it into your existing one and play around so that way you already have code and stuff already in there? Or I guess what's the
Yeah,
easier way to start?
I honestly don't know. I think,
That's a job for the listener. You got to try
yeah,
both and see what you
let me
like.
know. Like I am wildly open for feedback. Um, my gut leans towards an existing project because you know better all of its structures, all of its nuance, all of the information. If you've been working on that for a year, you know that inside and out. And so I feel like you would get a better sense whether Boost is valuable in that environment than you would in a new environment. That's what my gut says. AI coding in general, probably a new project. Um, if you've not used AI coding before, you can spin up a new project. And then it's really easy just to say, add this entire feature. And it, and specified that you want the models and the migrations and the factories and the seeders and tests, and it can do that whole thing. So that's quite, maybe enlightening is too strong a word, but that's quite nice to see a brand new Laravel use Cursor or Claude Code and say, I want to have an anonymous Twitter feed clone, change the homepage to that, make sure they're in date descending order, make sure there's validation, use a form request. And 3 minutes later, you have a working feature, right? With validation, with tests. That's quite eye-opening, I think, about what's possible, at least.
Yeah, that to me, and this is sort of a little off topic, but you sort of mentioned it with factories and like the database, seeders and factories. Like for me, like I've always been, I don't want to say confused, but I always thought it was hard when you start getting into nested relationships and trying to create factories and stuff around it.
Yeah,
But now with this, since it has all the contacts, you can just be like, create a factory for, my car and whatever, depth you
yeah.
have there. And it should pretty much do all that pretty simply.
Yeah, it will be able to figure that out pretty well. Yeah, it will see the models, it will see the relationships, it will know what's required. Yeah, it handles that, yeah, pretty well. And that is just complex, right? You're completely right. Like when you need a factory and it has 4 dependencies and they have 3 dependencies each, that is complex.
Yeah. And I think that's like, to me, that's like the number one perfect use case. And that's like where I want to try it first. I'm like, this is because I've never enjoyed those. So let's
Oh,
make this
same.
easy.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Give it a try and let me know if Boost helps at all.
yeah.
And if it doesn't, we can work on creating a guideline together of how to help AI do better at it.
Do all that.
Yeah.
And then I guess sort of my final question, sort of related to that, is do you sort of see Boost being able to actually help Laravel framework itself remove features because Boost can it will be so much easier and better. I don't know, for instance, factories. Like maybe you don't even need factories anymore because Boost can just spin up, seed a database instantly. Um,
Yeah.
but
I've
that's
not,
just some ideas. I mean, do
yeah.
you think that something like that could be possible in the future?
Everything's possible, right? I don't know. I've not thought about that. I quite like having factories. I accidentally, I, so Boost comes with documentation on an API. We run an API where if we've ingested documentation, we've chunked it into useful bits and we've extracted code snippets and we've vectorized it with embeddings. Like we've done a ton of work and then we make that available to Boost locally so you have the correct documentation that you need. So I ran that locally. I ingested the Laravel framework docs and that was all in my Postgres database and it was lovely. And then I said to Claude Code to write a very specific test. Like I wasn't letting it go broad. I was like, oh, okay, there's something weird here. I'm going to have to migrate fresh seed. And then it did. And I hadn't set up my PHP unit.xml or .env.testing. And so it completely wiped my database. And so it was very helpful then to just have the factories and the seeders to set everything up again. Which AI wouldn't be great at. But I mean, don't do that. if you're setting up a test suite, make sure it's using a different database. Pro tip: who would have thought it? But yeah, I think everything within Laravel still has its place. Boost, I think, just gives you a boost. That's its goal.
I love it. I love it. Yes, and also don't connect to production from any local Laravel app
Yeah. Oh yeah.
database.
100%. 100%.
That would be bad.
Yeah.
Oh man, but I love it. So Boost is coming out. By the time we publish this, Boost will already be out.
Boost
So
is
you
out.
can
Yeah.
just go install it. Right? Just do what is it? Laravel. I don't think I have this wrote down. Is it Laravel new and Boost install? No, it's just Boost install.
You can, yeah, Composer require Laravel Boost dev and then Artisan Boost install, and that will take you through, yeah, everything you need.
Yes, I love this. And of course, if you're trying this out, you have bugs, you have issues, you have feature requests, submit them to the GitHub repo, right? Because I'm sure you want to hear all of the stuff
Yeah,
that people.
I want all of the feedback, and actually, this is a good time to plug. So, yes, add GitHub issues and GitHub PRs. We welcome all PRs on the Boost repo. It's open source; it's open to everybody. But there is also an MCP tool called Report Feedback. So, if you're using Boost in your IDE and it does something weird or something great, you can just say, "Give Boost feedback. I just tried to do X, but it didn't work and it did this." And that will go directly to me. That will go directly to the AI team. And so that frictionless feedback is right there, right where you're working. You don't have to go to GitHub. You don't have to find me on X. You don't have to find my email. You can just tell your AI agent, tell Boost, give them this feedback that it sucked in this way, or it was great in this way. And I'll read it, other people will read it, and then we'll work out how to improve it. So, yeah, a plug for the report feedback tool, because I'm really, again, I'm really excited about that tool.
That's awesome. You're gonna have so many like Laravel's gonna be like the AI framework before we know it, and I love it because I love that we're embracing the future and we're you as a company and you as a person are figuring out all these ways of like making our lives better, and I feel like it's just amazing and awesome.
Yeah, we're
Um,
trying, and we need to be careful about that, right? Like, not to go too overboard or too hype. We're trying to be really grounded. AI is great, but it's not perfect, and so you do need to treat it with care. So yeah, hopefully Boost is at the right level, and the right scope. So yeah, we're looking forward to that feedback.
Sweet. Well, Ashley, I just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and chat with me about this. I'm super excited to give it a try. And any departing words for the community?
Thank you for having me. It is great to chat. Departing words: give AI a try. Setting up AI so that it worked well in the past was a pain, but with Boost, you get a really good foundation. That's why we call it a starter kit. Like, we've got you to the starting line. So if you previously swore off AI, now's a really good time with Boost to give it a new try. And there's been leaps with models, and Boost will help with that as well. And also, it would be good for me to shout out people that helped with this. This isn't just me. I just like talking to you, so that's why I'm here. But, Peter soon contracted with Laravel, and he worked on the MCP server package we need. Binary Kitten, Cat, she's helped with the ingestion of docs. Pushpack has also helped with Boost and things like that. Josh Siri helped with Vault and Folio guidelines. Pascal helped with inertia guidelines. Nuno is helping with pest guidelines. Like, Dan Harron from Filament is helping with filament guidelines and docs. Like, I only know so much. We only know so much. So all of these people have helped make Boost better. And so, yeah, it would be nice to end on, this is for all of us. We can all contribute, and, tons of people already have. Yeah, so I want to highlight how involved they've been and how grateful I am that they have been involved.
Yes, that's awesome. That's a perfect way to end it right there. So thank
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you. Thank the Laravel team, and we appreciate all y'all greatly.
Awesome. Thanks. Catch you later.